Throughout the war in Afghanistan, soldiers relied on military working dogs to help keep them safe. The dogs were specifically trained in searching for weapons, ammunition and explosives, particularly improvised explosive devices. They were also used to search vehicles entering British operating bases and often found illegal drugs. They shared the same risk on the ground as the soldiers themselves and proved vital in often very dangerous situations, not only as protection but as vital companions. Now that British combat operations in Afghanistan have come to a close, the role of the military working dog is changing.
When we were in Afghanistan, obviously it was the fight against the IED was the real crux of what the dogs did. So they were predominantly search dogs, either focused around improvised explosive devices or weapons caches. Now what we're looking to get is the real flexibility that the dogs can offer. They've got a much broader span than just looking for IEDs. So the fact that they can find people, they can find drugs, we can really utilise that in a much wider variety of situations. Classification-wise, we use a mixture. We use a lot of Belgian Malinois because they'll work hard, they've got a fantastic work drive. We use German Shepherds. We also use a mixture of Spaniels and Labradors as our search dogs. So it's really dog dependent as to which breed suits which search type.
There are more than 100 dogs based here on Normandy Barracks in Germany, like Titch here, and they are walked and fed twice a day. They originally came from the Defence Animal Centre in Melton Mowbray, and here they put their skills into practice. Training remains vital, and some of the dogs and their handlers have recently been on the ranges of Senelager with 5th Battalion the Rifles, carrying out a variety of scenarios. Many of the dogs will deploy with infantry units in the future, continuing to provide them with protection and search capabilities, as well as to indicate warning signs.
We went through a patrol, so Axo was point man with myself. He led the way, and basically we're there for that early indication. Again, on patrols, if anything is in the area, he'd give the indication, which he did eventually on the quarry in hiding, and he gave a sit indication. That's my turn to know that my dog's indicated, and then from then on I'll tell the commander. He'll come forward and he'll do with that with what he pleases. So whether he wants to move on or carry on the patrol, it's completely up to him. So his job's done there.
Delta 21 Charlie. IP dog has indicated human presence to north-northwest, wait out for confirmation.
Training happens all the time throughout day-to-day work, so whether we go out and we find new areas to work in, just changing it up for the dog as well, so we can get taken on many exercises with all different specs and regiments and stuff, so dependent on what we do, but with him especially we'll go out, we'll do different patrols and make him enhance him as well, so distance-wise, see how far he can hit and what distance he's hitting at, and then work on his indications. So just learning how to read him for different environments as well, so getting him used to weapons, getting him used to everything else.
Their sense of smell, use of sight and overall alertness to a variety of situations can prove a vital asset.
You get into a position, the enemy have abandoned it. You can then call a tracker dog forward to then get on the trail, well, the ground scent of the enemy that's ran off, to then follow them to the position they've gone to.
Man there. Which there? Come on there.
Dogs working within the infantry is an immense force multiplier. The spectrum of tracking and detection capabilities is something that we simply cannot replicate without them. So in particular, the dogs we're working with at the moment, the protection, explosive detection dogs and the infantry patrol dogs, are classifications that many haven't worked with for some time, but are something that's going to be incredibly useful as we go forward into contingency, because whereas before we were used to having bespoke dogs that would be used for specific tasks, these dogs encompass a full range of skills, making them useful for, for a range of tasks.
Well, it's good for morale. and 2, nothing else can do a job that they do. A person couldn't track someone as accurately as a dog could.
There's a lot of stuff they can do that we can't do. For example, the smell and the sight. I mean, they can pick up things that we might not be able to pick up. So as well as us checking, for example, vehicles and people, it's always a benefit to have a dog being able to do it. It's always a benefit having dogs around. We'll get to know the dog handlers, they'll spend a lot of time with us, and we'll get to know the dog itself and come together like just one big happy family.
On my latest Herrick 20, we was in a fob, and we actually had an American dog with us, and we used it as vehicles were coming into our fob, and it was used primarily to search these vehicles, whether they were Afghan or a military vehicle. And we would personally search a vehicle ourselves, but we also would have the dog beside us going around the vehicle, giving us that warm fuzzy feeling around us, making sure that there was nothing hidden or in the vehicle that shouldn't be. Working with them, they're invaluable, but secondly, it's probably morale. It's seeing the same faces every day for possibly 6 months at a time. Always having that dog there, you can just have a little cuddle with or a little play with. 5 minutes out of your day, it does make the difference.
It gives the infantry greater freedom of movement. It gives the commander a choice of what he wants to do on the ground, and it's just a great force multiplier. Instead of using lots of infantrymen, you can utilise the dog to do one job from many men.
The most important thing they offer is a force multiplier. So what would maybe take a section to do might be covered by one dog. So if we use a protection dog, for an example, one protection dog can act as 2 or 3 men on a sentry because they've got much better sense of smell, sense of sight, and they can alert the handler to human presence far quicker than perhaps a human eyeball might.
Some of the partnerships between the dogs and their handlers are new, and so this training is a learning curve for all. Having a good relationship as a pair is vital.
Yeah, we've been paired together now for 4 months, so it's quite new to both of us, but he's worked previous with other handlers and this is my first time with him. And it's reading the dog, it's one of the big ones. Obviously you've got to know what the dog's indication is and how he works, so when he's picking up, and then you can see his change in body as well and his body language, so knowing that, and you get to know it through more you do. So.
Without a good relationship, you don't get that sort of unity that you require for a good team. As soon as you've got that relationship in place, then the handler will know what the dog's doing, can read the dog's signals almost before they'd be noticeable to anybody else.
And I bet a lot of you end up adopting them yourselves.
Yeah, we can't resist. You'd be amazed at how many of the handlers end up with their tour dogs. Our commanding officer's now got one. So no, we all end up with working dogs.
The role that the military working dogs will play in the future will continue to be extremely important and will adapt and change to suit the nature of the army. Crowd control and vehicle checks are just 2 of many jobs they will have to undertake.
I'm going to set up a VCP in this village area. It's going to come from behind me. Set up a VCP. 2 suspects are going to get out and are going to be searched while my dog searches the vehicle. My dog's going to find some explosives on the vehicle, and then one of the suspects is going to brake.
Get off me! Get off me!
And my dog will then go and get a bite.
Look at him off!
Obviously it's scarier being searched by a German Shepherd than it is a little Spaniel, and plus you've got the added benefit that they know they'll protect the call sign as well, so he will go and bite if he needs to. But these dogs are meant to be 80% search, 20% bite, so they're mostly the search capability, just with that little bit of extra knowledge, knowing that they'll bite as well.
So what role do you hope the dogs will play within the army going forward?
There's a real range of roles that they could play, and I think we'll, over the next couple of years, as we begin to work out exactly what the pressures are and what the security threats are to the UK, then we can channel the dogs and what we need from them to produce that. We're having a lot more involvement in the UK now, so supporting the Homeland Resilience piece, but we still have massive relevance in rest of the world operations as well.
Military working dogs not only prove vital when using their sight and hearing capability, but prove to be a great comrade when times are hard. They take on the role of a brave warrior when faced with danger and can be the difference between life and death.